All right, here we are. We're jumping into round 4. Got a little Ooh, Cluis on stream, my boy. That's my boy. Cluis, a terror locally, kind of the final boss, and running my girl, Padme. We were discussing, well, not really discussing. I had played Padme at locals, and I was streaming my locals, and he messaged me. He's like, I got to teach you how to play Padme sometime or something like that to bust my chops. On a little Padme Tarkentown, you love to see it. I do like Padme. We're going up against Piet Red. Also a Bothan team member. I have to imagine they played this matchup a lot. I would venture to guess, depending on Cluis's build, that this is Piet favored. You have waylays, you have spare the targets, or the potential for it, in order to try and stop the armada, the onslaught. But at a certain point, you do only have 25 health. You do have to present threats. And you got to close the game before the Doritos take over. As somebody with diabetes, Doritos are in fact a danger to me. I can understand the threat. We'll see how Piet does here. We see a turbo laser. We see, I think there was a mixed ship. Yeah, there's a mixed ship. There is a craving power. I can't tell what the prestige is, but I assume it's a devastator, maybe. It could be an invisible hand. We couldn't tell from the Bothans that were playing it over the last couple days whether they are, in fact, running Invisible Hand, because they never hit the table. But we have, it looks like, are we going to get the Invisible Hand? It is, it's a 6-cost ship, and that looks like the Invisible Hand. And given the search, I'm going to assume that that is correct. So you're going to be able to dig for some droids. But the thing is, what droids matter and what ones are they running? It is the Battlefield Marine droid. Now, I, for a while, was leaning into in the Piet builds, trying to leverage the 3-1 Sentinel droid. And I like them, but having these extra droids, you can probably trim it to just Gonk, just the Marine, and then just HK. You don't have to have the Sentinel droid. You don't have to have the Confiscate droid. If it was a real Confiscate, I think you'd want it, but it can't hit pilots. Well, the leader pilots and stuff, unique pilots. You could get some other utility stuff. They could also hypothetically be playing things, but we're actually going to see the Marin discard plus Padme Ping putting 3 onto the Invisible Hand. There's a big reason why this matters. It's Tarkentown, because you can't allow them to untap and barrage you. Now, we know that our Piet pilot is not our Piet captain, I guess. Our Piet admiral. Our Piet admiral. That's the most appropriate way to put it. They do not have the barrage, but you have to play as though they have the barrage. What is our 4-resource play? We're going to go Kira. Probably. This is interesting. It's not turbo laser. It's 2 turns away. We're actually going to go craving power. I'm a little surprised it wasn't the MC30, because the MC30 can be played and then you turbo laser, which is 2 turns away. I guess the argument is you don't name the MC30 because then they could just play any boat next turn and then turbo laser off of that. But I would like to disrupt their offense a little bit. So there's the mace, which we did see out of teammate Mickey D earlier. And then, of course, we get the Bothan spy tokens. We're going to go base, it looks like. Definitely makes sense. While I would expect Piet to be favored in this matchup, I don't believe that it... Ooh. Oh, we're... Yeah, I was about to say that claim might have been a little aggressive. We are going to get the Tarkentown. But if you claim, you could just first action Tarkentown anyway. So, like, it's whatever. it does change things. It does matter, but like it's not a crisis. Like I was saying, I would kind of expect that Piet would be favored here. 25 health base. It is difficult for Padme to reach into space sometimes. However, I do feel that there are lines, and Merrin is a big part of that. Like being able to blow up that first ship is a big deal. It gives you multiple ways, the Merrin versus spare the targets or waylay, different ways to interact. Sorry, I'm opening. I got a card order in. Jar Jar Prestiges and Fireball Hyperspace, just to complete the set of those. But the Jar Jar Prestiges are, he's so stupid looking. I hate this guy, but it's funny to me. Anyway, I do love the Prestige art in this time, and it's kind of a shame how the set 5 Prestiges turned out for the most part, but anyway. So we're going to HK. Maybe. Possibly. Considering. We are in Resource 6, which means that 8-drop ships are going to happen. You have to imagine if there... It looks like there's a... Can't tell what that hyperspace is all the way on the left in their hand, but like, if you're in Clueless's position, do you assume that they do not have the ship? Because if they do, would they not have played it? Could be setting it up here. So obviously Kira's got to get in. The Marine can, or the droid, whatever the Imperial Dark Trooper can trade. What is the debate here? I can't tell what the other card is. I mean, oh, it is an HK. So yeah, I guess the concern is like, or not concern, but like the thought process is, can you stick the HK so that you can get one more damage? Maybe. We named the Craving Power. So the MC ship is going to come down. That's only going to cost 3, which means you still can play the HK. We're going to get the ping here onto Piet. But that's only going to be 4 more damage, so you can't kill the Piet this turn, and they're still going to get initiative. So even if you were to send the Merrin into the Piet, it's not going to do anything. Anakin, Surprise Strike. Okay. So Surprise Strike, I don't think I had him in my last version, so I am still very curious what the Bothans have cooked with this in terms of cuts. The Padme list felt very tight, and it felt like there were a lot of things that were required, but they're running different cards than I was, so clearly there are certain things that are not required. I'm very curious what those things they cut were. Not that I don't want Surprise Strikes in there. Or maybe I did have Surprise Strike? I'm trying to remember, because a lot of it was, hey, this card's in, this card's out, and then just flipping things around as we're continuing in the early testing for the season. So McShip comes down. We don't have a ping off Padme anymore, but we are going to fling Anakin at the boat. The unfortunate thing here... Oh, we did save the ping off the Faith in Your Friends. Okay, so that was intended to go there. But we know what the other cards are in Clueless's hand, so I think this should be a claim. This can't be... What is happening? What? Clueless named the Craving Power, right? And he knew that the... Don't you just turbo laser this whole board away? So we didn't kill the Piet, which with the surprise strike in hand could have been done. And we play extra bodies into the turbo laser salvo. Is this not just turbo laser? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, like, what is happening? And you take 4 to base because of HK. Wow. Brutal. Catastrophic. We pitched an Anakin, so we're going to deploy Padme. Doesn't look like any plots. The game is not out of reach. Piet is at 15, but that is still a significant amount of damage. Oh no. I was really hoping for a hot shot there. Kind of needed that hot shot to come down. With Kira gone, now Craving Power is live, which won't one-shot Padme off of the MC. All right, we're smuggling a Cassian. That would explain why we didn't have plots or anything else played. It is another threat. Piet's got to swing in. That puts you at 18, which is not lethal in one action, but it's pretty damn close. So I don't think like the Marin surprise strike line into Piet would not have been great. I think what just caught me off guard the most was running the Anakin out there. In addition, like the extra card in hand could have mattered hypothetically, like main deck Bamboozle or something like that. However, it wouldn't have mattered in this instance because you probably want to play the Cassian and you want to save the surprise strike for this turn. So I assume we're killing the Cassian. Yeah. And that would, in fact, be ball game. You're at 18, and there is 8 damage represented. I could it have gone differently? I don't feel like there was anything really that was going to change. So we got Relentless on the board. It looks like Confiscates. Not going to board in Confiscates against this, are you? Relentless. Look like Architens, Salvage, and I can't tell what the red card is. Maybe Let's Call It War, probably. Oh, DRK is in the deck, so they may have shaved some numbers to DRKs. Unless this is a slightly different version. Yeah, that looks like Let's Call It War, which, you know, I don't think that's terrible into this. There are a bunch of X4s. There are clearly a bunch of X5s. However, you can generate a lot of spy tokens, and HK or even a Piet deploy can mean that Let's Call It War helps clean things up that are damaged. It's got to be better than something. Like, Devastator is never coming into play. If Devastator gets played like something went sideways, like really sideways. All right, let's see what we got. What does we got? So, down a game. We'll see whether Cluis elects to give initiative. This is, like I said, I personally feel that Padme is not the best hero ping deck. However, I'm not very good at this game. So it's entirely possible that my assessment is completely off. Ooh, the Gonk droid. That's actually kind of a nightmare. It does beg the question. In this matchup, it might be better for Cluis to take initiative because it is way more likely that you have a card that requires attacking to trigger the Padme ping. So, for example, a Warrior Clan Ordo, a Bail Organa, hell, Karis Nemec. Well, the Karis Nemec doesn't necessarily require it, but all three of those can attack into and then cause a kill on the Gonk. Whereas Faith in Your Friends requires you going second, and like if they pass and you Faith and they Gonk, you can't necessarily get it in one action, and it makes life very complicated. Prepare for takeoff. Seems good. Pay 2, draw 2. Pretty good. Pretty good. Electing not to go Gonk, I guess, presumably because you were going second, like it's just not going to live. Getting thirsty watching all these games. Definitely good games, though, for the most part. The Ray ones were a slog, but it is what it is. Looks like Barrage, Dev, not sure what else. We got Anakin. That is the kind of clock you need. With Bale still active, that means that anything that shows up could die. And you're also going to add more threats to the board by setting up the ping and the kill because you'll be generating spy tokens. I should get me some Bale prestiges. They got to be cheap, right? Resupply is not what you want to see. Are we going to make the token? We are. Surprise strike, that's reasonable. And we get the tokens. All right, so we do have 5 resources, Piet deploy, which means a 7-drop ship, which based on what I've seen out of the Bothan list so far, I don't think they run any 7-drop ships. There really aren't any that are any good. The invasion control ship is doo-doo. Watch, they're going to play an invasion control ship, make a liar out of me. But you can slam, not Devastator this turn. If you're planning on playing Devastator next turn, I don't think you deploy because there is the risk that somehow Piet dies. Like, Anakin represents 5, so it's not going to be all that much effort to kill the Piet. There could be a safe window, but if you give your opponent initiative, then they claim, and like Anakin in a gun just one-shots him, and then it turns off the Devastator. So I think you just ramp out something else or set up a different line. Looks like open fire on Anakin is the play. That is pretty good. That will prevent the Anakin from just trivially sniping the Piet. Like, now you can kind of safely deploy Piet. It really depends on how this sequencing goes. So Commandeer out of the board, which definitely makes sense. I love the idea of Commandeer coming back. I'm 100% going to be playing it. I think that's a much better answer to Piet than the unrefusable offer plan, at least in Hero. It's a 1-card combo instead of a 2-card combo. In CAD, you're probably playing Arrest anyway, to some degree, so I think it's fine. Spark. All right, so we have Fulminatrix, Dev, MC, Bayraj. You don't really want to see any of those. All right, so Fulminatrix, I guess, is the repeated threat, like repeated removal. But either way, we got a Devastator coming down. It could be barrage off Piet, but that's not going to happen. This just seems nightmarish for Padme. The open fire to kill Anakin was brutal. Really needed that Anakin to ensure that either Piet didn't deploy, like hold him hostage, or just straight up murder him, as Anakin is kind of prone to do. To the base. Spy tokens. Smuggle a Cassian. That is not the turn you want as Padme. Oof. I'm wondering, I don't think we've seen a waylay out of Cluis. And I'd like to see it. I mean, you don't want a waylay Devastator, but like you also don't want to take 9. You also don't want to get a barraged for 11 here, because you know there's a barrage in hand. You know there's barrage, you know there's MC30, you don't know the other cards. But you only have them at 14. You have to find an answer to Devastator. You need to get Piet off the board. I guess you don't need to get Piet off the board. At this point, it doesn't matter. Piet's on the board, who cares? Just, you got to kill. Sinking 7 damage into that is kind of irrelevant. So we got 2 to base. We're going to 11. So the Commandeer setup is cool. It's 13 health. So you can't kill Padme and Cassian with this barrage. But presumably Cluis is going to play another card. Meaning that you'll get an... Oh, we're going to... Wow, that's brutal. Ugh. Force choke on the Cassian. That's tough. The Commandeer is going to be... Like, it kind of has to get played right now, because otherwise you die, right? No, you don't die. We're only at 11. So you could eat another Devastator hit, but then a weird claim situation and you're dead. Also, we see a Ruthless Raider in hand, so that also represents lethal via other stuff. So we're going to tap down the Devi. Okay. Buys us a cycle. 3. MC. We got the McShip. 5. Not 5. Here's the thing. You have to go base with the Devastator, right? If you commandeer it, right? I don't think you can trade. Wait, we're taking the MC? I mean, I guess you can just crash it into the Devastator. Now you have to crash it. $15. So if you attack base, that puts them at 20. I don't think there's any way you can get to 10 with the current board state. Yeah, you have to do this, and like this just feels like it's delaying the inevitable. Let's call it war, gonk, and it seemed like another MC30 in hand. Having to get rid of 2 surprise strikes hurts, because that if you are already at 20, I don't think it matters. If we hit another Commandeer, maybe? Spark will take the MC, I guess. Unfortunately, that means Let's Call a War just straight up kills the warrior clan. Which I don't see any reason for. Well, I guess we're just going to do it. We're going to go base. So going to 21. Ouch. You're dead to the Raider. Got to show me a commandeer, and even then, you're still dead in 2 actions. So we'll show the Nemec. We ping Piet, sure. Feels a little bit like pissing in the ocean. Yeah, sudden ferocity down there. Would have been nice on that Padme deploy, except Padme immediately croaked. Probably checking, just like you got to see how many more pumps are left. You're only at 17. Doing 13 more seems unfathomable from this position. Yeah. Oof. I think Padme is a lot of fun. I think Padme is a cool deck. Yikes. Piet seems like a disaster. Commandeer, I thought would help stabilize a lot. I don't know about the Kira call. Like, that seems to be the... Ooh, Kazuda. Boarded in Kaz. I mean, I guess they're ramping or could ramp, so they might always be a resource up on you. Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think this matchup is probably pretty bad for Padme. You need a number of things to fall into place, and if you just don't see him, you don't see him. GG. So we're moving over. It looks like Reflex is also on this Yoda Tarkin Town nonsense. Ian, his influence spreading. We got Han 1 green, a little more traditional than the Han 1 blue. What are we doing here? What is we doing? This board state seems a lot more cluttered than what we witnessed earlier, given it. Admittedly, it was also an Iden matchup, so there probably wasn't going to be much on the board no matter what. There's a lot of stuff going on. Kelleran back with some damage. We got a tech. We got an Obi that looks like it just got played, so it appears to be a Sentinel. Matched by a Village People as a Sentinel, Yaddle, Yoda, and C-3PO. Luke is going to eliminate Kelleran back. Since we're on our set, what? Was there a Cham? So we just got Luke played, which means obviously there's 7 resources for our Yoda player, but there's only 6 in play for Han. So I have to assume that there was a Cham Syndulla played. And that doesn't seem good for this Han player. That's I don't want to say it's a nail in a coffin, but it's definitely a bad spot to be in. I really hope that Padme and Watt top 8, because those are the decks I want to play. And I want to steal their list and be like, yeah, that's the thing I want to play. I am curious how the Piets finished yesterday, because it sounds like there was a lot of them in the event, but they did not do well. They were almost 10% of the event on their own. Probably more like 8%, but there was a lot of them floating around, and they just did not appear to do very well. Certainly not in the top 8. Maybe they all bubbled out, and they were in places 10 to 15, because I know what 9 and 16 were, so. Guess we're doing the old cleanup here. 15 to 8. There is still a significant amount of threat on the board from Han, like a decent amount, not an enormous amount. We're going to trigger C-3PO. We missed the C-3PO trigger. Yoda being there is going to pose a problem. All right, well, we whiffed the C-3PO, I guess. Yoda being there should clean up the tech. Yep. And all of a sudden, no more threat from Han. Han has one card in hand, I think. Like, this kind of... There is 15 damage on base. I guess there's a world where... Yeah, like Han Solo doesn't do it. Enfys doesn't do it. Keller and Beck is kind of cute. Not Enfys. Fennec Shand? I have no idea what the card behind Fennec Shand is. Maybe one of the promo droids? Like, what is that card behind Fennec Shand? It looks like a foil. Is it a prestige? Bounce on the Falcon. Fennec probably cleans up something. But one thing is probably not enough. There's 2 big threats followed by some other minor threats, including a card draw engine. So there's the Fennec Shand. It's doing a gazillion. Is it doing 7? There's no way it's doing 7. Yeah. But it's definitely doing enough to eliminate Yoda. Unfortunately, as I said, there's still a Luke. There's still a bunch of stuff. It only has 3 health remaining. You could technically kill it without even having to invest the Luke. Not technically, you could. Tarkin Town has been used, but between ray triggers, running idiots in, regular removal, the -2/-2 will certainly help. Yeah, we're going to scoop and move on. I don't know what game that was, but yeah, there was no way that... Han ain't coming back from that. That was kind of decisive. Are these Yoda decks going to top 8? That'd be sick. It'd be pretty sick. It wouldn't be. I would hate to see that, honestly. The wave of hero decks is killing me. It looks like it was game 2 or 3. Actually, was that game 1? Are we just sideboarding now? Or are you de-sideboarding? Seeing comments, the rock deck is looking strong this set. I don't know which rock they're talking about. I'm assuming it's Piet, Count Rocks, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Like, is Piet good? Maybe. Certainly looked good against Padme. But I need to know how it performed yesterday. So what do we got for... I mean, our Han player doesn't even look like they're sideboarding. And with 20 minutes left in the round, I assume there's still game going on. For a second, I thought our Yoda player like got up to pee or something because couldn't see him. So I don't know what the board for this looks like. I have not thought about Yoda Tarkin down other than like the last 24 hours probably. Maybe a little bit on Thursday when Underwhelming Barrage came out, but Hmm. It does seem like this Yoda deck lines up very well into an enormous amount of things. I'm very curious how it lines up into BIATL specifically because, I mean, aside from, hey, count rocks, play Dorito, it does appear that, like, maybe it's fine. If you can deal with the gonk, like, you don't get blown out by a gonk start or something, it's probably pretty good. You have a lot of restore. You're going to have fells. If you can survive to be able to luke things, maybe. Maybe an early Devastator just murders you. I don't know. Jedi Starfighters. Man, I really want to play Vader this set. It is not happening. Not with all these Jedi Starfighters. Sorry, responding to some stuff in Discord, talking about rock decks. Count the Doritos. Let's play the counting game. Count the Doritos. Shout out to my Dogma fans. All right, what do we got here? BIATL start. We hit that resupply start. It would appear for our Han pilot on player. It's not Han pilot. I got to be cautious about that because it's always it's come up a lot recently about being a little more precise in gaming terminology within this game. But we're gonna get a Falcon. Fast Falcon, normally a serious issue or a relative issue for Jarkentown decks. I'm a little surprised that we didn't get a pass to heal the one, but I don't know that it matters here. You get the 1 damage heal, but you give up initiative, and the initiative may end up being more relevant. Honestly, I think I'd rather have given them initiative going into Resource 5 in order to consume, air quotes, an action from the Han player, so that way they can't dirtle the Han deploy quite as long. Now, given that their board is empty, they're not going to be able to dirtle the Han deploy for very long at all, and you just have to not get destroyed by Han unit or something. And there's the Han play. Who'd have thunk it? A much simpler methodology for tracking the actions. In this case, it is a single green dice rather than the discard card. So we're going to get an Owen, kind of just stalling for a little bit of time here. Notably only on 4 resources because, of course, there was the resupply earlier in the game for the Han player. The Village people is going to put in a lot of work, though. Punch who we have to. I think... So it could be Han, it could be Emphas, it could be Kelleran. I don't think you want the Han to stick around. You're going to end up with initiative. I think I sink the Yoda in. Apparently that's wrong. The reason I'd sink the Yoda in is you could first action kill the Han. I don't think you can do that now. Not in a single action, anyway. The 7 cost of choice, because I believe we saw Han unit earlier, is going to be Emphas. Emphas is going to bounce Yoda. Like, if it was Han, they kill the village people. You claim. You run BIATL into Han leader. If it's Emphas, still do the same thing. But now, like, the problem here is unless our Yoda pilot has an answer for that Han in a single action, they're going to get to play another 7 cost. Oh, we're resourcing. I thought we were... Never mind. Whatever. I thought the You're My Only Hope was going to get played. I'm like, what is happening? So we got a Falcon. We got a Fell. All right, that's a good clean answer. Problem is, once again, we are leaving the Han unchecked. So with the Han unchecked, that means that U-Wing is going to get played. I guess the Han unit got resourced? Can't tell what the yellow card is in the middle. Whatever bad thing is about to happen to you is going to happen, so you might as well set up the Yoda. I don't think there's a card draw card in hand to trigger the Ray, which would be nice. Put the Ray on top, get a little activation. Well, I guess you could kill off the Owen. So if he puts the Ray on top, which I'm pretty sure we saw in hand, you could ram the Owen into anything. Unless they get an Obi-Wan. Well, no, Obi-Wan will still kill him. So basically the entire deck for Han will kill him, which is kind of funny. Then you can get the activation, which will then kill a Han, which may have been what they were trying to set up. They're like, oh, well, I want to set up the Ray nonsense. But personally, I don't know. I think I would have skipped that. Methinks I would have skipped that. I would have just gone for the Han kill, but I don't know how this deck really functions, and I'm just guessing at things. Or there's an onboard trick that I missed, because I've definitely been prone to that. I have not drank enough water today. So what's the line here? Basically tapped out. I feel like we're suiciding Owen for a card draw to try and stabilize the board. I kind of like the Fennec as another 7. But, like, did you need another 7? If you're running Enfys, if you're running Han, if you're running Kelleran, do you need another 7? Is that really necessary? Maybe it's just like a one-of as a Miser's copy. Oh, we're going to Daring Raid. That will, in fact, eliminate the Han, but we're going into the 7 resource turn, which means that you can just play the 7 cost guys. Yoda may have stabilized. I mean, that is 0 damage on base. Han needs to slam threat, and just, like, never let the Yoda player breathe, I think. It appears Ray was on top. There was a debate there, I guess, about triggering the Ray, and I think that probably would have been better. If you knew the Ray was there, run the Owen in, trigger Ray, kill the Han, and then you still maintain the Daring Raid. You lose the Owen on the board, but, like, I guess you want to keep the Owen to fish for another Luke. I guess. Like, that hand does not look good. Ray, Karis, something that seemed irrelevant. That sure looks like a Kelleran in hand. Oh boy. You can Yoda. So there is that. But Yoda... Oh, Yoda was the other card, speaking of Yoda. You're going to have to pitch a Luke to be a Vanquish. We're not sacking the Owen? This game feels like it's getting away from Reflex here. This doesn't feel like it's going very well. Ebon Hawk. I wonder if there are any villain cards in this deck. I think just as a turn 1 play, it's probably pretty bonkers. We did see a Han 1 yellow featuring it earlier. It didn't set my world on fire. Karis. You can deploy Yoda to kill the Ebon Hawk, but we're just going to pass, it looks like. Oh boy, that is this game. It's got to be over, right? Action 1, put Chewie in the Ebon Hawk. Stop me? I don't even know if there's a way for Yoda to kill it. You don't have enough cards to hammerhead it. The hammerhead will take a turn. Like, to attack it, I mean. It wouldn't even kill it on its own. Although, it's going to ping for at least one, so... Three. Giving a gun to Keller and take 9. Kablamo. There are definitely some interesting decisions going on where these players are better than me, but it's like I don't understand why they're taking certain lines. And you get several decisions later, and it's like, okay, well, yes, you have to do this now, which does not feel good because I believe 3 decisions ago you did thing, and then that requires that this happens this way. So keeping the Owen around did turn out to be a viable option because now we get the Luke, which allows you to kill the Kelleran. Actually, well, you could sink several cards in. You could run in Nemec then, or you could put Luke on top to Yoda, but I assume you want to keep that. The Ebon Hawk in the sky could be an issue. I assume we revealed something. I keep thinking it does 6, but it's +2 with the reveal. Oh, Luke is actually going to kill Fennec Shand. So how are we dealing with a 9 attack Kelleran then? Are you going to sink Yoda in? I also feel like maybe that, like, I don't know. I guess Chewie... If you play Chewie on the Ebon Hawk, you can Luke it. And you get 2 for 1. But then you still have your Fennec Shand. And I wonder which is more important. Okay, so Token plus Yoda plus... Nemec plus Token plus Yoda is a dead Kelleran. Alright, alright. This is what I was talking about, where like I wasn't seeing what Reflex was trying to set up, but it looks like they got it. Or they got what they want, I mean. I still think that Chewie should have come down. But I get prioritizing splitting the arenas. Yeah, I was about to say, that's not dead yet. It will die, because Yoda's going to run into it. Oh, Tarkin Town was still live. Oh, I totally missed that. Okay, yeah. I thought Tarkin, for some reason in my head, I was thinking Tarkin Town was expended already. Yeah, that's a way better setup. Maintain bodies, blah, blah, blah. You essentially traded your 2-drop for their 7-drop plus a hotshot. Seems good. Last I checked, that's pretty good. Ready to kill the Falcon. It is not a draw, so it just dies. Base for 6, heal 6, and now Yoda has stabilized. Yeah, it was looking really bad, or at least I thought it was. It felt like Han was... Like, going into that turn, it felt like Han was in pretty good shape, but... The Yoda flip lurking means that, you know, you probably kill two things. You're going to flip, kill one, and then attack another. And it's just a matter of how much can you make them work for it. So we saw Galen Urso there, and the thought went through my head of Galen Urso naming Devastator just to shut down all the damage, but... Yeah, we got Typho to stem the bleeding, but how the turntable? Still have to deal with this Ebon Hawk. Now, we know there's a Chewie in hand, but I would kind of want to deal with that Ebon Hawk sooner rather than later. Especially with Tarkin Town gone. So you can't just set up a ping into Tarkin Town to clear it out. It's like you're going to have to spend some effort. Luke kill plus Luke heal. Guess we revealed the Chewie. Or we revealed the other Typho. Either way, we had a reveal for a heal. You're only getting one thing this turn. Man, we just do not want to play this Chewie. What are you planning on playing Chewie on the ground? I'm not sure why they're holding the Chewie. Can he, like, not pilot the Ebon Hawk or something? Is there a restriction I'm forgetting about? I'm assuming that's Chewie pilot. Because if you Chewie there... Like, that's 6/6 Ebon Hawk that is going to be fairly difficult to deal with. I mean, if they have a second Luke, you're just dead, right? Like, there's no getting out of that. Show him the Chewie, take 5. But between the Luke and the Yoda, there's literally no damage being pushed. You're just staying where you are. Claim. You have like a million cards. What are we doing? A minute in the round. I don't know what game this is, but with only a minute left, like, if this is game 2, whoever won game 1 is winning. Probably. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Because if it was the Han player, then it was Reflex. Our Yoda pilot. I'm not sure what's happening here. Unless they both looked at the clock and went, yeah, this game is over. Maybe there's a judge call. But from this position, Yoda seems to be like miles ahead. At most, you surprise strike for 8, put you at 21. And then, like, what are you going to do from there? I really feel like that Chewie should have been in the Ebon Hawk ASAP. Present more sizable threats in both arenas. I'm a little surprised that they didn't have more pilots that, like, only pilot a villain vehicle, or only pilot a hero vehicle, or only pilot a blue vehicle, or something like that. All right, guys, what are we doing? What is going on here? At least one of the players is still here. You can tell right there, but I don't know what's going on this side. Oh, maybe we had a potty break. Quite possibly a potty break. Galen Urso naming something. Could name Ebon Hawk and then just like, there's just no way you can die. Certainly not in one action. That looks like Qui-Gon. Man, all the spicy 7 drops, huh? Chewie, Qui-Gon, Shuttle. I don't think any of those get you out of this. Killing Luke. That doesn't work. Qui-Gon can only hit ground, I'm pretty sure. We'll get rid of Galen instead. You gotta go top or bottom. Might make more of a difference if Yoda was still in the leader position, but we're just going to use Red 5 to clear out the Ebon Hawk, and now you're tapped out. And Yoda crash. Yeah, the stranglehold is on. The sleeper hold. It's just a matter of when our Han pilot is willing to throw in the towel. What is the game plan here? If you're Han, I honestly don't even know what you could draw that could get you out of this. It'd have to be like U-wing into something perfect, but since that Galen can come down on an empty board, like you don't have to name something, they possibly just named U-wing in order to turn off the potential. As the Yoda pilot, you could probably just even ignore anything they're doing almost at this point. Like a Han unit can come down, clear out Yoda, and then it's like, okay, they got a guy, but I have a bunch of resources, a bunch of cards in hand, probably have a removal or two. You could even try and kill things via damage, thanks to Red 5. Various pings. We have a sudden ferocity in order to help push extra damage. You might have to respect the Kelleran. That is a light maker? Huh, okay. I mean, it's resource a billion, so those are things you have to respect, I think. 7 damage in both arenas. You just got to kill Lightmaker last, though. It's going to be hilarious if Han is able to pull this out after I was convinced that the Yoda player is like light years ahead. Aggressive negotiations for, I don't know, $1 billion. Certainly more than 5. What? Weren't they at 15? Okay, we played the ferocity. It didn't matter, but like that Galen certainly did more than 3 damage, like 3 additional damage, right? I don't know. Either way, game goes to Yoda. GG.